into soon. So let's continue with these dot points. So the next one was teams can now specify substitute player, any player who is not registered to participate or substitute for another team that is separate from their coach. This is good news. Like we should be looking at that one little line just there as a really good point, because before, if you're at a major and your player got sick, you had to play with the coach. Now in this opportunity, they don't have to do that. So are we looking at like this as a win? Like, why isn't this one here being celebrated at all?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like that change. It obviously came a little bit too late, just because this is an issue that kind of came up. Like, I think it was even the first RMR event where North were in that situation where they had to slot out Kirby. So that's definitely something that that should have been there in the first place, just because, like, obviously, like, if one guy skips a tournament and just comes back for like legit reasons and not because like they want the points back, like going back on their decision to change players just to get back into like whatever, a legends or contender spot, then I think it makes perfect sense to have like a to not to punish the teams, and then actually having like a real substitute, and not using the coaches for that, which is something that's actually been in the majors since the start of majors, honestly, like since coaches were a thing.
I want to jump in here just quickly, Prof, because I want you to have your say about this. But there seems to me like there's a misconception from people, not a misconception. There's a narrative from people that Valve only want this to be 5 players, right? Like which makes sense when the core concept of their game is just 5 players in a matchmaking game, right? Like that's the general way Counter-Strike is played. But with this change right here, this says that they're clearly open to changes, right? Because this is something we've been talking about for years, and this change right here indicates that they understand that that's a problem, and now that they're looking at ways to have a better solution. Like, surely this shows that Valve are taking steps in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, people still say it came too late, and it wasn't obvious that something like this needed to exist since like Zonic stepped in for Astralis or whatever back in
Cologne
2017, 16.
Yeah, which is a fair critique.
Which is fair, yeah. But at the same time, I don't think this means that you can sub players in and out. I don't think that.
No.
I don't think this is going to work for like 6-man rosters and stuff like that in the way that people are using 6-man rosters today, right? The way Vitality and Co are using it for one map or for one series or whatever. I think this is like you can swap someone in, you can swap him out, but it has to be for a reason, and you can't do it like mid-match and stuff like. I don't think that is going to be tolerated, but it hasn't been explained in detail, so people can take it either way at the moment until it's kind of verified by Valve, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's just going to work the same way as it has until now. Is just like it's a separate guy and not the coach who can step in. So it's going to work the same way. They can only do like one-time player substitutes during a tournament. I think that was the rule before. So you can't really just do it at the same tournament. So he's going to be able to come back for the next tournament. So obviously, like Vitality with Nivera would just have to play the entire tournament with Nivera if they wanted to slot him in, instead of how they did it so far. So it's definitely going to affect these teams that have been using substitutes for just like certain maps like Astralis, Navi, and Vitality.
The question here is, did we think that was going to be the case anyway? Like, as far as I was concerned, I didn't think that Valve were going to be allowing that, right? Just the fact that Blast are and ESL are and the online environment, like those things all allow for it. Like, let's put this in practical sense for a second. Having 6 people at LAN, right, is much harder than having 6 people online. You guys have seen it with the Vitality room where they all have PCs set up ready and ready to go. The Navi guys, they're all at their homes. The Astralis guys, they're all at their homes. So everybody has their own PC. When we get to LAN, we are now talking potential delays caused with 6 players having to swap SSDs, having to redo monitor settings, having to get there and do NVIDIA settings, set down keyboard, mouse, blah, 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 blah. I could go on for fucking years about that, right? So in terms of once we're getting back to LAN, we never knew how this was going to be a possibility. Just because Blast or just because ESL or just because these guys have worked out how they wanted to do it, Valve are the ones who decide at the top level what's going to happen, right? And it's their fucking video game. So if they only want it to be 5 players and no substituting between maps or series or whatever, that's their decision, right? Now, are they making steps to better that? Yeah, because now there's a fucking substitute, so we don't have to have games where like this one doesn't matter because the coach is playing. Now the excuse isn't there for the same way. If people get sick, it's a good change, right? Let's keep flying through these. The next bit says a team incurs a penalty when they substitute out a player in an event, but there is no penalty when the player is brought back in.
So, I mean, that's already what I was talking about with like that's kind of going to help with those situations where it was like Kirby, you know, we just went out for one event and they came back for the next one. Yeah. Like they're not going to get punished twice for one change essentially.
Which is good. Which is like let's say somebody gets sick, someone's internet dies, like something happens in the online realms and you have to sub them in. We all understand that. That makes a lot of sense. All right.